there, Improv Tipsters. Welcome back to Improv Tips, where I and some of the best improvisers in the world give you improv tips and advice to make you a better, more confident, and happier improviser wherever you are in your improv journey. I am, as always, your host, Paul Vaillancourt. Let's begin. Today's guest improv tipper is Roberto Lewis. Now, I'm a really big fan of Roberto's. I first saw him in a group called Wretched Hive, which is a Star Wars themed improv group a few years ago. And I really thought he was so fun to watch. And I got to work with him a little bit. It was really fun to work with him. And nowadays he's doing a show called the PUG Hour, and also a show called Heartbeats, which is an improvised medical drama with the legendary group RipleyImprov. All those ding links are down below, as well as all of his links for how to get in touch with him. And I just reached out to him. I thought, gosh, I'm really such a fan of his work, and he's just so fun to watch. I really want to get an improv tip from him, and that is what I have done. Dreams can come true, y'all. And before we get to his tip, which I think is really fantastic and really gets down to one of the most basic things of improv, listening. Before we get to it, though, thank you for watching Improv Tips. Please consider liking and commenting on today's video. What you think of Roberto's tip? Are you going to use these techniques in your work? How do you think it's gonna help you out? Because I think it will help you out. And also consider subscribing so you get the improv tips as they come out, right? But without any further ado, please sit back, relax, and enjoy Roberto Lewis.
Hi, I'm Roberto Lewis. I'm talking to you today about hyper-listening. So a lot of times when we're talking about listening in improv, what we're actually talking about is paying attention. But I'm talking about listening so hard that you're trying to memorize what's being said on stage or on screen. I'm going to quote a teacher of mine, Levin O'Connor, who once said that every problem you will encounter on stage can be solved by listening as hard as you can. So perhaps there's a scene going on and I'm on the back line watching the scene play out. Or maybe I'm in a scene and I am receiving information from my partner. And so in that case, I would be listening very closely to each word so that if someone asked me to recite the entire scene afterwards, I could. And so what does this do? It does a couple of things. If you find that you're in your head, if you're dealing with fear or imposter syndrome, I find that focusing on hyper-listening is a good way to take my mind off of all of those things and focus directly on the performance itself. I can't pay attention to fear or self-doubt if I'm busy memorizing. If you find that you don't have ideas when you need them, for one thing, it fills your creative well. I used to always hear veteran improvisers talk about back-pocketing ideas. They'll have a couple of different ideas, but it's not the moment to introduce them in the story. And so they'll hold on to it, they'll put it in the back of their brain, and they'll pull it out later on in the show. I always found that to be difficult advice because I had a lot of trouble remembering what happened before in the show, what choices I made, what choices my teammates made. I think that for every detail you remember, you're going to forget 2 or 3 details. So the more details you can stock up on, the better position you'll be in. Focusing on memorizing things, lines that I like, themes that pop up, details and choices that my teammates have made. I find that if I commit them to memory or try to, that they'll build up in the back of my brain and then they'll emerge later on as ideas, either as fully formed hits or just as intuitive nudges. Hyperlistening definitely makes it easier to call things back just because you have a larger store of details to call on. You'll be able to play for longer because you have more material. You'll just find that you just remember more of the show. If I know what everyone else's deal is, if I know their names, their personalities, their choices, then I have more to play. I also like it because it forces me outside of myself. Perhaps you have a habit of steamrolling other players and pushing your agenda through or talking over them. If I'm worried that I'm steamrolling other players, hyper-listening will help then too, because I can't be talking over my partner if I'm busy trying to memorize what she's saying. I also find that focusing on memorization helps me to respond to the last thing that my partner said. You'll be better able to assist your teammates. You'll have ideas about other characters and other storylines, and you'll be able to help them get their ideas out. You have so much material given to you by your teammates. Just following up those hits and paying off those hits, that there's no time for you to push your own agenda. It's improved my passive listening skills too. So although sometimes I am focusing on intentionally trying to memorize, even if I'm not, I'm still listening closer than I probably normally would be because I've built up the habit of trying to pay really close attention. No, you're not going to be able to memorize the entire show, But if you try as hard as you can to memorize as much as you can, you'll surprise yourself over and over by how much of the show you remember and how much easier it is to take a 30,000-foot view of the show and make decisions on what would be most helpful for your teammates. And that is why hyper-listening is my improv tip. Thank you.
Hey friends, thanks for checking out the video, and if you want to hear a little bit more, check out one of these 2 quality videos. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and follow us on social media. All the links are in the description down below, and let me know what you would like to see an improv tip about. Thanks for watching.